All righty then. I hope the sound's good. It appears to be working. Apologize for the low resolution. It is what it is. I'm using the webcam on my laptop, and well, I think it's maxed out at 720. I'll try it with different camera in the future. So, is anybody out there? is the audio coming through, or is it good, or what have you? Well, this is my simple abode here in Guatemala at Lake Atitlan, Panachel. And I gather a couple of people were interested in how I find places to eat and sleep, like where I rent rooms, and how I find out about restaurants. This is a first for me. So we'll see how this goes. My last attempt at a live stream was in downtown Cusco last year with a cell phone. I couldn't read anybody's comments on that one. All right. Well, it looks like a couple people are here. Is the chat working for you guys? I hear a noise on my phone, but let's take this off. Maybe that's causing a problem. All righty then. So, all right. Wood creation. That's a catchy name. So, hey guys, what do y'all want to hear? I know it's still early. It's only 6 p.m. Well, that's Central Time, I suppose, or time here in Guatemala. I assume this is 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I am curious what you guys want to hear about. It's about getting rooms, whatever. It's kind of like I'm figuring on Q&A. I did a recent video kind of breaking it out how I go find rooms. Generally speaking, I like to when I get if I'm gonna stay at a place for a while, I like to walk around and check places out, scope it out. Sometimes I still make mistakes. Hey, that's how you learn. But often, if I'm only booking a room for a very short period of time, I will use booking.com to kind of scope through it. And I also use Google Maps to look around for deals, locations near places I want to go. I prefer to be somewhere I can walk almost everywhere that I care to see as I scope something out. For instance, in Mexico City, I went and looked, I stayed in two different locations. Oh, hey, Tom. All right. So I got one of the people gave me some feedback this week on. Awesome. So, kind of like I was saying, I often, when I'm first looking at the area I'm going to, especially for the first couple days, I often use booking.com. It is not perfect, as in, They do verify you actually stayed there before they let you leave a how you say review. Yeah. But the downside is sometimes, or maybe often, when you book a room online, you get the worst room there, or so it may seem. And sometimes, a couple times, it's happened to me when I used booking, that I got an awful room, and unbeknownst to me, as I paid them and got my room, they canceled my booking reservation. And apparently, in both cases, because they knew they gave me a horrible room that didn't live up to what they said it was. I mean, it was terrible, especially in the case at the foot of Machu Picchu. I vividly remember that one. That way, I couldn't leave a review. So they're canceling out some of the really bad reviews if they have a really awful room, like the one I have with no ventilation and lots of black mold. Uh, a way to avoid some of that is go through Google Maps and look at reviews there before you book your room online. My suggestion is you book your first room for a couple of nights so you can walk around on foot and scout out better rooms. Like, I personally, I'm not a real big fan of using Airbnb because I'm kind of worried I might end up with a room that I really hate and now I'm stuck with it. Though I'm not saying I'm perfect at that. So I like to wander around town and ask people to see the rooms, go to the hotels and ask them to see all the rooms so you can pick the one you want. Sometimes the one you want might be one of the cheaper rooms rather than one of the more expensive rooms. It might take them by surprise. Depends what you're looking for, Wi-Fi strength. And I did all this stuff in a recent video that kind of breaks it down. I think I had 10 or 11 points in it. And you know what you want. You go look, see if it's in there. As far as rooms, as far as places to eat, when you first get there, the first day or so, using tools online, in particular, I like Google, or if I have friends that have already been somewhere, they're also a great source, especially if you know the kinds of foods they like. And there are some people I follow on YouTube that I know have that like tacos or something. I'll follow that. Yeah, I like tacos a lot, for instance. So, Tom, what are you looking for? I know you threw me some feedback about finding places, and oh, here we go. Okay, private rooms versus having two. So if it's, are you saying if you're bringing your wife, your girlfriend, just the two of you in one room, so you're cohabitating versus, or are you talking about a shared room like in a hostel where you're in a bunk room? I think I know the answer, but I'm trying to get it right. I've found in the past traveling with girlfriend that it kind of varied. Hostels often charge more for two people, even though it's a private room, they often charge you double for having a second person in that room. But that does vary. It kind of depends in Latin America, South America in particular. You can, when it comes to like renting an apartment, if you're going to go longer term and rent an apartment for a month, generally speaking, you're going to pay the same price, whether it's just one of you or two, or maybe you got some kids and you got family of three or a family of four. You're probably going to pay the same price, except maybe you need an additional bedroom. So maybe the room costs a little more. Often you can find two-bedroom place for about the same price as one bedroom. Or one of my favorite places to rent an apartment is down in Ecuador from a family I know. And downstairs there's some hammock hooks, so you can hang a hammock up there, and then there's two beds upstairs. Both of them are full size, I believe. Could be queen, I'm not sure, but they're big enough for two people to comfortably sleep on. And that place in particular is $250 a month. You can often find a really nice place in Ecuador or Peru for $200 to $250. It kind of depends what amenities you want. Like the place I get in Ecuador, it comes with nice internet and also cable TV. The electricity is included, water's included. The only thing you have to buy outside of what you're paying for rent is the gas you use to cook with. And often I just try to help split the gas costs for the hot water with the other tenants and other apartments. Of course, one of them is rented by a friend of mine that I've known for a few years, so we split it. But hey, gas is really cheap. You're talking $2 or $3 a bottle. I'm pretty sure it's $2 a bottle there. So am I getting close to what you're digging for, Tom, or feel free to redirect me with some more questions on the subject. It's a little odd having no auditory feedback, so I'm relying on text. I did turn off the the slow mode to try to improve communication this way. And this is reminding me I can actually read the text on this laptop. It's kind of small, but it's not nearly as bad as when I tried to do this with a cell phone in the past. So I'm rambling now, I think. So who else has dropped in besides Tom? I see there's a few folks watching. Y'all got questions? Fire away. Or I'll just go on monologue and God knows if I'll cover the right content, but I hope it's entertaining. I hope it helps. I'm presently, for those who just got here, I'm on the shores of Lake Atitlan. I'm probably about 1 kilometer from the shore in Panachel, Guatemala. I am not absolutely certain where I'm going to be going next. It is likely that I will be checking out. Awesome. I see your response now. I'm not sure if this thing's got some latency. I will say that my internet here in Guatemala is not as good as it is in Ecuador. It's not as good as some place I've been in Peru, but I have had pretty awful internet in a couple of places in Peru, especially during rainy season. Yeah, a private room in a hostel, it's not uncommon to get charged extra for the second occupant. But I would say that you can negotiate. And during the pandemic, negotiating was pretty easy because they're desperate for more people because a lot of people weren't traveling. Either were afraid of COVID or they were afraid of getting a vaccine or they didn't want to take a COVID test. I don't know. I've heard all sorts of crazy tales. And with some people, like really make me wonder. I wonder if they have tinfoil on their head, but I'm not taking sides. I traveled anyway. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Hey, I'm glad to hear from you there, Joseph. Joseph Wolf in the house. It's great. I'm glad the audio is good. I'm kind of worried with the connection. I think when I get to Ecuador and hang out some of my friends, their internet I think is plausible if I hang out at their downstairs apartment for a little while. And I'm quite certain when I get to my favorite town in Ecuador that the internet should be really bomber there, and I could probably give you an awesome view of volcano and some other stuff there. Oh, it's all good. I've been rambling, so throw out any questions you would like. I'm gonna try to make this useful for you guys. I can burn up some stuff. Hey, Ellen, it's good to hear from you. You've had some wild adventures this past summer in the whitewater. It's great to have you here. It's like the main takeaway I have for this is it's pretty cheap, even for two. Sometimes when you're traveling with two, things get cheaper, and then a few things might cost a little more money. So, for instance, if you got two people and you want to take a private driver, it can really help you drive down your costs, or at least split them in half when you think about it in a way. So, if you're paying like $100 for a really long ride with a private driver, you don't feel as bad because maybe you're paying $50 a piece. Of course, on the other hand, in Ecuador, you can get almost anywhere in the country, it seems like, for about $5 on the buses, and the buses aren't bad. They're actually pretty interesting, and often they have movies. And sometimes they'll pause the movie when they come up to a town, and this guy will jump on the bus and he'll do a live Ronco commercial. Of course, it'll be in Spanish, but that's all good too. Even if you don't understand a lot of Spanish, it would be highly entertaining. Oh, I got Nevada Triker on there, I think, or NV. So if you guys, any questions y'all got about really hammering down the cost, like, if there's any questions or gray areas about how to get better deals, I'm all ears. Just because hey David, just because some places are more expensive than others doesn't mean they're better than the cheaper places. I walked around a lot here in Panachel. My friend Wade may or may not be online listening. He's just a few blocks away. And my first couple of nights here, I stayed at Hotel Amigo. Pretty nice place. I actually liked it. I forget what the cost was there, but it was pretty frugal stay, but it was reasonable. Had decent internet, had decent hot water. Probably had better hot water than I got here, but I'm gonna work on that. If I take my showers in the afternoon, they're really warm. In the morning, the suicide shower head seems to be not quite as good as it was when I first got here, but it does take the chill out water. But I take quick showers in the morning. But in the afternoon, the water gets a little bit warmer. I suppose there's probably a tank on the roof, and it can get right hot then. So what I so the takeaway is, if you walk around town like I did my friend Wade, and we walked through a whole bunch of hotels and hostels, even beyond what I was probably really looking at. And you need to know what your priority list is. You may not find everything you want. I like quiet locations. This one, the trade off is I am well away from the traffic noise, but being I'm kind of on the edge of town, there's lots of chickens, and they can be kind of noisy, as you can imagine. But I like to get up early. And here, solar noon is probably closer to 11 o'clock or so here. So it's kind of nice to get up. If you want to enjoy more today, you kind of want to get up here in Panachel. Otherwise, you're missing out on a lot of daylight. And I like walk out. I like the sunshine. And let's go back. Banking, that's a good question. The way I manage my banking is I use I have a credit union. Yeah, I have at least one credit union, we'll say. But I use a credit union in North Carolina, and they have really low fees. They're very nice. And an added plus from my point of view is they're bilingual. So if you want to go practice your Spanish while you're in North Carolina, you can go in there and chat with them. They also do a lot of, they're also, it's self help for those that are curious. They also are involved in some social justice issues, which I really kind of appreciate. If I'm not mistaken, they do have kind of a high bar so that you can have no cost checking. I'm not sure if I may be mistaken, but I think you have to keep a certain minimum balance. I generally try to keep mine a little above that because, well, bad things happen. Sort of like when my car got totaled, and well, it took years to get that settled. And if I hadn't had a little bit of an emergency fund, I would have been royally screwed. I know that's off the subject, but hey, those things you need to think about. It could happen in another country too. But with a credit union card, it generally drops your fees, including when you're doing international fees. It's a lot cheaper in dealing with most banks. I will say I have heard that Charles Schwab is wonderful for getting back fees, and I've heard Wells Fargo is good, but unfortunately, I have no direct experience. Although I did deal with Wachovia briefly, and I had a horrible experience with them. I'm not going to judge. Number two, back on the thing. The wonderful thing about having credit unions is when you're in places like Ecuador, you can go to, I believe they would call themselves as more of a co-op, right? It's almost like a collectivo of a bus, but it's like a co-op. For instance, in Baños de Agua Santa, there is an ATM attached to the Central Mercado, the central public market, where you got little old grandmas inside selling all sorts of fruits and vegetables, and you get seafood and pork, and you can get freshly cooked food. It's really awesome and very cheap, frugal. But try to button this fly pollution. But if you go outside, the same side of it, opposite from the supermarket, the supermarket, you'll see the other slightly less old little old ladies. Well, I mean, they're younger, more like moms and grandmas or whatever. But okay, I'm rambling. But I know it's silly. But my point is, if you see where they're cooking all the the guinea pigs, if you turn around and look toward the ice cream shop on the next corner, as you walk toward the ice cream shop, just past the main entrance to go inside the Mercado where all the food smells are wafting out, you will see an ATM, and it is basically the credit union of the National Police. It'll say Cooperative de Policia Nacional, if I'm not mistaken. If you use that teller, there is no fee. At least there is when you're dealing with my credit union, and I suspect other credit unions. A lot of credit unions do not charge fees for each other. They have organizations they kind of collectively deal with, and that will save you money. Here in Guatemala, I may be lying, but I think that the fee I pay locally for the machines here are my favorite machine. I should go take a picture of it. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's kind of an obscure one. It's located in the Despensa, which is unfortunately owned by Walmart, whom I try not to deal with. But hey, here, there's only two grocery stores, and that's the closest one to me, other than the market. And the market's the place to get the deals. But I go inside, and it's kind of an obscure one, so I don't remember the name of it. It's not something I would know in other countries. But I believe they only charge me 4Q, which is roughly 50 cents for the transaction. And I think my credit union might charge me a $1 international fee for I think that charge, I'm not sure what all, if there's some tax that goes to, but that also includes my conversion from dollars to Q. So it's a pretty good deal. I roughly get 8Q per dollar, and I'm rounding it off. I often I'll do a little, when I'm telling you how much stuff costs in my videos, I often look at what the current market price is. I only get out a minimal amount of money per transaction. Generally speaking, I withdraw $200 at a time. That's the max often. And I strongly suggest you withdraw the maximum amount each time you withdraw. It'll be a low dollar amount in my experiences in Latin America, but it'll be plenty of money to last you a while. And I know I'm really going nuts on this now. Debit cards for cash at ATMs. Yes, that's the way to go, in my opinion. Western Union definitely will work. That's not my go-to. I haven't really used Western Union since I was dirt bagging it around on old Ironhead Sportsters and chopped shovel heads on rigid frames. That was really abusive. The Ironhead Sportster had better suspension. And my friends down in South Carolina, Pat Driscoll, I don't know if he's on here, would wire me money via Western Union, as I recall. I think that's how we transacted money back then. Nowadays, I prefer to use ATMs. It's a lot less hassle. You can get money sent to banks and go in and get it out with a passport, but that's aggravating. And if you're broke on Sunday in most of Latin America, good luck. That's when everybody goes to the bank, and sometimes the line wraps around the block, especially when you're in an area with a lot of indigenous people. I have nothing against them, but I don't care to stand in line for 2 or 3 hours to access the bank. If you have an ATM card, you can go straight through the front of the line because they don't do ATMs, probably because they don't want to pay a fee to withdraw their money, which I respect. I'm frugal too. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I've not been paying attention. Hi, Dave. USAA, I don't know. I know about their insurance. Oh, I see Wade's on here. Very nice. So Wade on here. Where to next, Wade? My pal that walked around with me a lot while I was checking out the apartments here. He and I have been talking back and forth over the internet a while. I kind of just barely missed him in Ecuador last year during my season off. Hey, Brant's on here too. Very nice. Yeah, Brant's one of the everyday hobos, formerly hobo traveler, I think. You can join that. I believe it costs you $1 or something. You can get some intel from people that have been vetted, or at least you know who they are. I'm not going to try to tell you you should go spend money, but it's up to you. I gave them a little bit of money a year or two back. It's kind of interesting characters there. Some of you more right wing people might feel right at home. You can definitely chat up there without the concern of being kicked off of social media, unlike Facebook. It's not really my bag, but each their own. I don't oppose freedom of speech. Do, do, do. Oh, I do not do the leave your passport crap with hotels, Joseph. But that is a big, huge effing red flag with me. However, generally, the way I go about this is I use something that looks like this. And I'm going to cover part of it up before I put this on live stream. This is a copy, it is not my passport. And that is what, when someone asks me for a passport at a hotel or to get cell phone coverage, get a SIM chip to add to my unlocked phone, I always show them my laminated copy of the page of all the information. I don't trust anybody with my passport. Like George Thorogood, don't trust nobody with his girl. I don't trust nobody with my passport. I will not share that. If they have a problem with that, we just won't do business. I'll go find somewhere else. That's huge in my book. I do secure my passport. I have different ways to do that in different places. Uh, I don't think carrying your passport on your person is the safest place for it. Everybody I know that has had their passport stolen has been a victim of being pickpocketed. I seriously doubt whoever stole it really wanted their passport, but so they got it. So I'm gonna go grab a prop. So hang on just a second. So I don't know how well you guys are going to see this or hear me, but this here is made by PacSafe and is a portable safe. You can kind of see that it has wire reinforcement and it has nice stainless steel cable. All you got to do with this sucker is you go around, you go find yourself a concrete stanchion or a metal column in your room, and you can wrap it around that. I'm not going to say it's absolutely impervious to theft, but let's just say it will take a while for somebody, and they'll have to be really determined to get it. And they'll probably be much more likely to go snatch something from another nearby room. They'll be much easier to get. If there's no concrete column or something, I would like wrap it around something of value to the hotel, since it's primarily their employees might have free romp of your rooms, and they'd probably be uninclined to destroy property in the hotel, because that combined with you complaining about theft, well, that might cost them their job. And many people, even in other countries, have to be bonded to have these jobs, and they certainly don't want to ruin their bond rating and not be able to work in the industry. Not trying to make you guys paranoid. Yeah, you could leave the laminated copy, but myself, I've never had anybody ask me to do that. I think maybe a few years ago, somebody tried to get my passport. And when you show them the laminated one and you're not giving them the, the real passport, they don't really have a huge amount of incentive to keep your laminated one. They'll either take a photo of it or they'll write down the information they need. But the reason that someone might want your passport is they got something over you then, because you have to have that passport to get out of the country. So I think having the laminated copy saves you a lot of chances of somebody trying to get leverage on you is the way I would look at it. I don't really trust handing that to somebody. Yeah, that's right. And like Wade said, you can hide it pretty easy too in your rooms. Like your stuff in your room, in most cases, is much safer than it is on your person. if you're street smart, you'll be pretty safe. I wouldn't be really concerned about being pickpocketed. It happens. I've had people try to pickpocket me. So far, I've noticed, but I'm I'm kind of a middle-aged river hippie and rode motorcycles around a lot and had some time in the U.S. Navy. I know a thing or two about street crime and stuff, and I kind of can smell it coming, but it could happen to anybody. What do you want to put on Amazon? That PackSafe sucker, you can't get. I think I do have an Amazon shop I just opened up because people have been asking me a lot of questions about stuff I carry, but I do not have a printout, and I'm not sure how to. Well, maybe I can figure this out. Hopefully, I won't lose you guys. And if you do choose to grab some of this gear that I'm using, it ain't gonna cost you nothing extra. They might send me some small penance, but I mostly got it up there to make this an easy way to share information. And feedback is always welcome. So if you think something sucks, tell me why. Maybe I'll agree with you. Most everything on there is stuff I've used. There's one or two items I couldn't find exactly what I use, so I just grabbed something that's very similar. I did get a freaking hell of a deal on charger, USB charger you plug in the wall. I had a quad charger. They're all slow charging slots. So apparently I overloaded while I was up in Mexico after a couple of weeks and it burned up. I could not figure out how to disassemble it to put a new fuse in it, assuming that's what went wrong. I don't know. But I couldn't figure that out, so I gave up. And while I was in Puebla, I was walking around and I walked into an electronics shop while on one of my excursions. I think I went to the fort that was of significance to the Cinco de Mayo. And hey, it's a gringo that loves Cinco de Mayo and Mexican food and beer. I had to go see the history and learn more about it. I actually knew why the battle took place and its significance. That's another long story. But on my way back, I stumbled upon his electronic shop and I went in there and shot the crap with him. At first, he thought I wanted a battery bank, but hey, I'm a Southern hillbilly and, my English is strange. You can just imagine how my Spanish can get. Anyway, once he understood what I was really going after, it didn't take him but a moment, 30 seconds. He showed me one. It was 40 pesos, $2. And it had a high speed USB connection in orange and then two slow ones. So it's better than what I had before. So it's $2. So don't get hung up that you have to have everything with you. You can get pretty cheap electronics in. Hey, Alan's awesome. Alan's another great hobo. Alan's like the guru of the hobos, and as far as intel on Guatemala and a few other places. Good to have you here, buddy. I did a shout out for hobo a little while ago. So you can get pretty affordable electronics. I think Mexico has really great deals on electronics. Overall, I did not feel Mexico was as cheap or I say affordable is Ecuador, but hey, they're right next door to the United States. Mexico feels a lot like the United States, but would say a 40% discount. The food's really good though in Mexico. I would say the food's better in Mexico than it is United States. That's just my take or my style. I love Mexican food. I like Guatemalan food too. I eat a lot of Guatemalan and Mexican food when I'm back home in Tennessee. I mean, I know I'm from North Carolina, but I spend enough time in Tennessee. I think I'm a local there too. Lobo. So, where did we start off on that before I went off on the wild tangent? Oh, we were talking about banking and security with your passports. Also, back on that subject, I would say I would not recommend walking around with your bank card either. My friends who got their passport snatched, they also got their bank card snatched same time. One of them was a good friend of mine that likes to boat. I will leave his name unmentioned. If he happens to be here, he can speak up. But he was having a good time going overland. He decided to take the hurricane season off from sailing a sailboat around the Caribbean, and I believe he landed somewhere in Guatemala, maybe Mexico, I forget. And he's working his way overland down to Ecuador. And while he was riding through Colombia, he fell asleep on the bus. And when he woke up, his passport and some other items were gone. I'm not sure that he lost his credit card or not, but another friend of mine was coming along and was taking a all-inclusive package to come kayak for a week in Ecuador with I would say gringo business, business owned by uh, North Americans that also operate outpost in North Carolina. They work some rivers that aren't North Carolina. I won't go into names. I don't want to piss anybody off. But at any rate, this person was kind of clueless, and one of the locals kind of didn't realize that and suggested she use the local public transportation, and well, she really know how to keep her crap secure, and she was foolish enough to think that it was safe to get on a really packed bus during rush hour, and it was safer to keep all her important papers and things on her. She lost everything: her money, her bank card, and her passport. Fortunately, the embassy helped her. This happened at the very beginning of her trip. The embassy helped her score her passport back, and what she had all inclusive trip, so she got to eat and stuff. You know, basically was taken care of until she get her stuff back. Thing she got a little money wired to her for convenience, so she made it back home on time. And that all inclusive trip, I want to say those things cost like probably nowadays about I think it's like $2,000 for a week. Like there's no logistics. Hey, give me 2 grand. I could live really good for 2 months in Ecuador and do all kind of cool stuff. That's me. Oh, Blair knows. Yeah. That's a good place. I'm usually on the other end of the river and hit Meco Loco, which is more Guatemalan styled tacos. Or sometimes I'll go over to El Rio, and theirs is more Mexican style. I do not go to Habaneros. The food's just too bland there. I like mine more picante, and I'm not putting it down. Oh, the topic. Oh, groceries. Yeah, if you cook your own food, you'll save a lot of money, and you can cook it to suit your own taste. Here in Guatemala, people are not into spicy food. They're kind of like the folks back in Tennessee to go to habaneros. They want bland food. So if you want spicy food, you can go to the grocery store and get what you want there. You can get spices are pretty easy to find here in Guatemala, at least here in Banishell. You can get dried red pepper flakes. You can get some pretty good. You get some really good black pepper. It's pretty easy. You go to dispensary, or you go to La Torre, or you can also over here by the church, not far from me. You can go to the public market and you get fresh jalapenos and all sorts of great stuff, and they're very cheap. It's public markets, mercados are always the cheapest option in Latin America as far as fresh food. And the food stalls, in my experience, are safe to eat at in the mercados. The only place where I didn't really feel real comfortable eating was at Trujillo's market in Peru, northern Peru, along the coast, well north of Lima. And let's just say I could see animal droppings and stuff on the floors, and the place grossed me out, which is saying a lot. But that's the far exception. I've eaten everywhere else, and I think I ate that one even I didn't get sick. Uh, that's the best way to. That's the best way to eat. If you want to be frugal, if you go to Mercado, you can buy food to prepare yourself. And if you eat in the Mercado like the locals do, you're not going to see Guatemalans so much out in the local restaurants. That's more for the tourists, be it they Guatemalans or they gringos. There's lots of people here wandering around Lake Atitlan that are from all over the world. I would say Americans are probably in the minority. There's a lot of other people that look like us. They're of European descent, but a lot of them from Europe or, you know, anywhere. There's people from Australia. There's Canadians here. So you can really eat cheap. I have I have had a very nice, like a very recent video about eating shrimp. I would estimate that that meal cost me probably in rent somewhere in the neighborhood of $1. It was cheap. Oh no! Oh, Bryson City, yeah, Bryson City's got some good stuff. I haven't been over there to eat in a little while. I can't remember the name of that. All the names of those places. Yeah, I think my friend Lobo is asking if I've ever. I don't know if he's thinking about my friend Mary or somebody else, but I have done some dog sitting up in Andrews, North Carolina. Checked out the local Mexican haunts there. It's been a little while now. I stay out of the country until it's warm enough to go back to work, so I'm not as available during the Easter break to dog sit for my school teacher friends. Although that is kind of fun. I don't mind animal sitting. I've done it in Ecuador for friends as well. It's pretty cool, honestly. See. Oh, the gas bottles. Well, I'm tempted to go get the bottle, but it's not real life. It's the bottles here are different. I think I did show one. I should do a little bit more intel about it. The bottles here, the bottles I have no valve. If you want to turn it off, you unplug it. I guess I could try to man up and grab one and show it to you. The gas is more expensive here in Ecuador. Oh yeah. So it's coming out of the kitchen, and this is kind of heavy. So you see this size of it. I guess I'm the as thick as I am. I think I'm pushing my beer belly out. That bottle will cost you, or it's costing me. I don't know if you can get a better deal. That bottle full is costing me about 120 Q, which is less than $15. So it's quite a good deal compared to what you pay for propane in the United States. However, in Ecuador, you can get a very similar bottle for $2 or $3, depending on where you are located. And they will carry it inside and connect it for you. I personally suggest not leaving them connected so the gas doesn't leak out. Dun, dun, dun. So the way I get the gas, I'm really lazy. I just talk to my landlord here and send him a message, and the gas usually arrives rather promptly. In Ecuador, the roads are a bit wider, and depending on what part of Ecuador or Peru, they either drive around beeping the horn or playing a particular kind of music, and then the garbage truck will either beep his horn or play a different kind of music, so you differentiate one from the other. You just go out and wave them down, or you take your empty bottle and put it out by the street. People are pretty honest for the most part, and you catch their attention, you give them $2 or whatever, and you get your gas. Here, I get it from the like little help from my landlord. It's not a bad deal, I don't think. Oh, the food prices. I actually feel almost hesitant to state how the food prices compare because I haven't been here long enough to really get the lowdown deal on how cheap it gets. But I did go get some jalapenos and they were cheap. I think I gave them $12 or oh no, stop. I think I gave 1 Q and got me a nice decent stash of jalapenos, so that was like 12 cents. In Ecuador, generally speaking, I go in and I almost feel like I'm cheating in some parts of Ecuador because they know who I am. I go up and I like get the stuff I like, and some of the old ladies they know what I want, so they're already pulling out the stuff they know I like to eat, and I walk away with the little grocery bag full for less than $1. Here, I'm not sure what the prices break down to exactly, and I would suggest it takes more than a month to dial it all in perfectly on price wise. But the variety of food is good. There's a lot more jalapenos here, so if you like picante food, getting the jalapenos is a lot easier to do so here in Guatemala than it is down in Ecuador, especially up high in the mountains. Uh, that said, this feels more like a being here in this part of Guatemala. I mean, up in the mountains, it feels like kind of like summertime in the Blue Ridge. So whatever will grow in the Blue Ridge will probably grow really well here. Whereas in the higher parts of the Andes, you might see a variation. Ají and ajo are real easy to find anywhere. The hot peppers in Ecuador are pretty easy to find. Generally speaking, you will be going to Mercado, the public market, to get those. Uh, the produce here is a little different. It's not quite like what I would see in the Andes, but there's lots of fruit, and there are fruits that I can't find in down in the Andes or up in the Andes also. Yeah, okay. Thank you for giving me the weight on that, Alan. It's probably about the same in Ecuador, although I'm sure they're measuring kilos there, but it ain't light. But yeah, it's roughly feels like carrying two bottles from the United States, which I think they are like 10 or 12 pound bottles. I'm not really sure. I know that I can go the last time I went to the local gas station to refill a bottle in the United States. I want to say it cost me somewhere around the $15 range. So for I can get like the gas costs me twice as much in the United States as here. And I do believe propane is more expensive in the United States now than the last time I refilled. I'm not sure. I am dreading filling my tank in my cabin. So I've been taking cold showers in North America before I got here. As I believe it's going to cost $900 to $1,000 to refill that tank. That's a lot of money for me. Do, do, do. Yeah, I have not seen a gas truck here, so I don't know. But the ones in different parts of Latin America play different kinds of music. It could vary from like ice cream music. The garbage, as I recall, the gas trucks in Peru were playing ice cream music, and the garbage trucks were playing salsa. It was really lively, and the guys working throwing the garbage in the truck were like almost dancing to the beat as they're slinging the garbage around. It was really pretty entertaining. I believe that was in Arequipa that I got that. I might have a short video somewhere on my channel about that. I know I got some video footage archived. Yeah, like the Ice Cream Man. That's pretty popular sounds. I heard some music the other day around here, but I can't remember what it was associated with. Yeah. Yeah, I think weight's about right. You can get a few jalapenos for about kilo and change. It's not a bad deal. You're talking less than 20 cents. You're not gonna do that in the States. Yeah. Peppers. You can get most food that you're accustomed to eating in the United States. You can probably get in one form or another here. You can get chicken, you get fish, you get pork. You can get great deals on pork chops, even at the grocery stores. You can go see butchers too. I'm not real big fan of buying meat that's been out at air temperature this warm of a climate. Up in the Andes, I might be more inclined to try something that's been outside, like in Roman times. But it, to me, this climate's a little warmer than what I'm accustomed to. I'm not as inclined to eat, but I don't see lots of bugs flying around. It's still kind of a decent altitude, but the temperature to me here is kind of warm compared to what I'm accustomed to, especially in Ecuador and Peru. I like mountains. I would actually prefer a climate slightly cooler than this. So those of you that aren't hillbillies and think the Blue Ridge Mountains are cold or the Ocoee River is cold, this is probably just right for you. It's a little bit warmer. Yeah, I'm sure a few of you guys are probably not international travelers, but there's quite a few on here that I know are, and there's probably a few other people I'm not even sure they're online yet. So, what else are you guys curious about? We got a few more minutes. We got almost a quarter hour left. We can kick it around if you guys want to. Hey, brainstorm up ideas that you'd like to talk about next week, and we'll try to do something. when I get down to Ecuador, I'm not sure when I'm going, but I am headed that way. I may bypass Colombia and go straight to Ecuador, and then possibly go back over the border over land into Colombia. But when I get to Ecuador, I think I can have some more interesting backdrops. The daytime will be different. Solar noon, like I said earlier, here is probably about 11 o'clock. So that makes it rather dark early here, whereas in Ecuador, I think in this time slot, or I can move it up an hour if need be, if that seems to work out for everybody. We'll see. I could get volcanoes or a different backdrop to show you some scenery. I got an apartment there that's pretty high, so it gets a good overview of the local town. Maybe I'll move around, show you some other places like possibly Yambero, Ecuador, which overlooks the Pan American Highway, and Otavalo, Ecuador. Really nice place. If I had to choose somewhere to retire or wander less, maybe, I guess I'm kind of semi-retired as I only work a few months a year, really, although I do a little remote work for my boss. I would almost certainly retire in Ecuador. That's not to say I wouldn't wander. I really like Urubamba, Peru. I could see me living there, but Ecuador feels more like a first world country than the Blue Ridge Mountains in the United States. Healthcare is a hell of a lot better in Ecuador than it is at home in the Blue Ridge. And it's very affordable. If you go to the hospital in Ecuador, it's free. Public hospitals, I wouldn't go to a private one. Although I understand the private ones are cheaper than copay if you got good insurance in the United States. I can't afford insurance in the United States. The clawback provision scares the hell out of me, and I earn right close to the federal poverty level. And if you're below that, you don't qualify for ACA or Obamacare. I'm not willing to take the risk that the pandemic doesn't put me out of work for another month or two again, like it already has, and past flare up. So it ain't worth it to me. I know I'm going crazy on this thing. I may see some more ruins here in Guatemala. That's kind of up in the air. I do have a little bit more time, and there are some that are on my radar. We will see if I can make it there. And I have seen the deliveries on motorcycles, and I'm pretty sure that's how the gas bottle got here. So that's kind of ballsy, carrying around a couple of bottles of propane like this. They got like little metal cage, like kind of really thin angle iron welded together with little saddles, and they'll strap it down bungee cords and drive around through little narrow alleys like that. Pretty ballsy because they wipe out. That's a lot of weight. It might outweigh the motorcycle a bit. Hey, Wade's trying to cause trouble talking about toilet seats. Let's see. So, toilet seats, don't expect them in public restrooms in Latin America. If you're really squeamish, you might do like my friend Wade and carry some Santi wipes, and you can take your Clorox wipe or Santi wipe or whatever you want to call it, and you can wipe the rim and make sure it's nice and clean before you do your business. In some ways, it's easier to get the porcelain clean than a seat anyway, so it ain't so bad. You get used to it. I'm not going to say it's like that everywhere, but I'm not surprised when I don't see a toilet seat. Here in Banishell, most of the businesses, when you go to the bathroom, they actually have toilet seats. That's not necessarily the case when you get to small towns in Ecuador and Peru. And I kind of suspect if you went to some other towns around here, you would see the same. In fact, I've been to some different towns here in Guatemala, and well, it was a lot like everywhere else in Latin America. Sometimes you go in places that are really busy, in some of the busier towns, especially near where the chicken buses have their stops where you change and get on other ones. And we'll just say the bathrooms are pretty disgusting, just like very busy rest areas in the United States. Not much difference. The building's different, less roomy because, hey, people aren't as supersized here. Toilet paper. When you go to most public bathrooms, you got to pay like say a quarter or something. Same thing. And the price is pretty ambiguous. In Ecuador, there's it's like 15 cents if you just want to go to the bathroom. If you want toilet paper, it's like 25 cents. Here it's like 2 cube most of the time, and it generally includes a little bit of toilet paper. It's not a bad idea if you're traveling by bus to carry your own partial roll of toilet paper, just be on the safe side. And especially if you don't have Santi wipes, so you can wipe things down if that's your thing. Don't throw the toilet paper in the toilet. There's a trash can for that. In fact, if you live in my part of the world, Blue Ridge, where we have a lot of Latinos living now, there's always a trash can there for them. Because if you don't give them a trash can, they're going to throw it on the floor. That happens here too. But they're not doing it to be rude or disgusting. They don't want to clog up your toilet or mess up the sewage system. So here, even if the hotel claims you can flush down toilet, that doesn't mean it isn't going to cause a problem down further downstream in the sewer system. You don't want to put toilet paper into the plumbing systems in Latin America. It's just a bad idea. Do do do. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I like the food here a lot better than cruise ships. Reading along conversation Ellen's got going with Joseph. Yeah, well, I'd say bicycle inner tube is a good bungee cord. I've seen some more things rigged up on smart bikers rigs in the United States, even or homemade ones. Wade's misbehaving again. I'm not sure his story about the socks and underwear, especially the holy bamboo socks, or or let's see, PG-17 or not. Personally, I really enjoy just winging this and going from place to place, figuring out as I go, more so than using all inclusive trips. I find it a lot more affordable than the cruise I took once upon a time with extended family. But to each their own on that. Uh, I find it incredibly safe for the most part wandering around Latin America if you're street smart. About the worst thing you're going to encounter is petty crime, like attempted pickpocketing. That could happen anywhere, even the United States. I think the odds of violent crime are a lot lower unless you go to the wrong places. And most of you probably won't do that. It's not hard to research where people think are bad. I go probably to more shady places than most. When I was hanging out in El Centro, Mexico City, I was kind of getting into the gray area, but it still felt very safe to me. But my standards might be different. And I kind of have some clues about where to go, where not to go. I also know what not to carry on my person. I don't carry more than I'm willing to lose. It isn't a bad idea to carry a little bit of money around. Like if you're here, it might be a good idea to have like 50Q, which isn't a lot of money. So if something bad does go down, you can give them 50Q and they'll feel better and you walk away unscathed. Sort of like in the United States, having a money clip with the money you're willing to lose and toss that behind whoever's trying to sell you and beat it the other way. Similar but different. It's for the most part, it feels a lot safer. Visas in most of the countries I'm visiting, Mexico, Guatemala, they're automatic. And generally speaking, if you have a U.S. passport, it's almost as good as a German passport. It'll get you into most countries automatically. Exceptions are places like Venezuela. Man, I don't think most of you want to go there right now. So that's pretty easy. Going to Peru right now, you'd be pretty adventurous if you went there. I have been there during political demonstrations myself. I felt pretty safe and even went to some of them. I don't necessarily recommend that, but Peru, you can get 6 months automatic when you come in. I think you get 6 months automatic in Mexico. I'd have to go look at my passport to see what it says on it. If you enter through MEX, the main airport in Mexico City, it's pretty simple. You just tell them how long you plan to stay, give or take. And when I did that, they just gave me the maximum. I didn't have to argue with them. I told them I was probably going to go overland to Guatemala. I wasn't going back to the United States. they didn't have a problem. I did tell them, I did talk to them in Spanish, even though they're asking me questions in English. I figured that might help. Is it fair to say you think? Yeah, at night, I don't stay out real late. I'm old. I like to drink beer during the day when I can see what's going on in sunshine. I like the sun. I like to see when I'm out here, I like seeing the mountains, and I can't see them real good at night. I have not had any problem wandering around late at night here. This place feels really safe. In Ecuador, I have been out really late a few times. Like I might not got home till after 2 o'clock in the morning, and there are kids out riding their motorcycles, popping wheelies, doing stunts in the road, just like I was near Miami or something crazy. It was kind of brought back memories. Uh, if bad things are more likely to happen at night, and if you're drunk, they're even more likely to happen. It's just like anywhere else. A little bit of common sense will go a very long way. Uh, and I mean, if you're going out to socialize, have a few beers, it's probably better to do that earlier in the day. Chat it up while they're not playing really loud boom boom music or some crazy crap where you can't hear nothing anyway, and you're just gonna go hoarse trying to talk over it. That's just my opinion. Alan said something, but I'm not sure what. Yeah, Alan talking about little handy wipes is always a great idea. I don't necessarily carry them, but I should. They are good to have. I often have those in my luggage, but I don't have them with me now. They're especially good to have while you're transiting by bus over distances, because, like I mentioned before, the bathrooms, place like that might be really bad. In Mexico, the bus terminals had really nice facilities, and people were in there cleaning them. If you go to such place, do consider leaving a tip for the attendants. They're making your day a whole lot better, because if they weren't there, it'd really be disgusting. So it's, throw them, I don't know, 5 pesos, they'll be happy. And they did you a solid. It's worth more than 5 pesos, in my opinion. 5 pesos is roughly 25 cents. It's not a big deal. So that's kind of wrapping it up for this one. So, you guys hit me up, send messages, leave me some comments about what's up and what you like to talk about next week. And I'll probably do a few more of these from Guatemala before I move on. Be honest, I do not have itinerary. I don't really, other than deciding places I kind of want to see. Like I would like to see some of the places that were, how you say, of significance in Colombia during the Bolivar and Santalers struggled to free South America from Spanish rule. I've been doing a lot of study on the history. I'd really like to see Pasto and Bogota and some other places where significant battles and other things happened of interest to me. And maybe try to retrace part of the path back over into Quito where they freed what's now Ecuador. So I'm not sure when I'm going to get there. And there's a lot of stuff I still see in Ecuador, even though I've spent more than a year of my life wandering around there. Kind of lost track how much. So, you guys, thank you for being here. And please do shoot me some feedback via YouTube, Facebook, whatever mechanism you want, or you can send it via my email if you would like. Well, I don't know how to type. If you got topics of discussion, we'll rat around, talk about something else on the next one. I'll try to work on getting some better graphics and picture quality in the future. But for now, you're probably only going to be seeing the inside of an apartment because, well, it's too dark outside. So, peace out for now. Hope to hear more from you. I am going to try to work on a new video for this weekend about some of the electronic gear I carry and how you don't need some of the electronic gear that Amazon and other people are trying to push your way. It's set in special cases, and I'll try to show that with examples. So until next time, have a great week. Peace out, brothers and sisters. And yeah, come rafting next summer.